Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Mahavir Singh from Himachal Pradesh University, Shimla. Today we are going to discuss about the module Electronic Properties of Solids, third from paper Solid State Physics. So students, let us see what we are going to learn in this module. Understand the need of one electron approximation to analyze electronic band structure. Learn different method to explain the band structure of metals. Relate effective mass with the curvature of the band and understand the difference between mass and effective mass. Define Fermi surface and show its and prove that it is spherical for free electron model. A solid is formed as a result of bonding between huge number of atoms. The entities responsible for the bonding are the electrons. The physical and the chemical properties of a given solid are decided by how the constituent atoms are bonded through the interaction of their electrons among themselves and with the potential of the ions. This interaction yields the electronic band structure characteristic of each solid. A semiconductor or an insulator is described by field band separated from other band by an energy gap and metal by overlapping continuous bands. The resulting electronic structure affects significantly the observed electron transport phenomena. Free electron theory, along with its success in explaining some of the transport properties of metal, was failing to explain complex behavior of transport behavior under the magnetic field, positive Hall effects, etc. And the reason of this failure was accounted by its wrong assumptions that the positive charge is at rest and electrons do not interact with each other, whereas solids have large number of interacting particles, which results into complicated energy levels and the electronic wave function. To overcome above said difficulties, the influence of nuclear motion on the behavior of electron was studied in the form of one electron approximation. So there is a effect of nuclear effect is there when we talk about one electron approximation. So in this approximation, total wave function is given by some of the wave functions having coordinates of only one electron.
Bloch theorem. Now question arises, why do we need this theorem? Why we need Bloch theorem? For to extend the free electron model based on one electron approximation to take account of the periodicity of the metal periodic lattice, we must take into consideration the interaction between electrons. These interaction can be represented in the form of new wave function, which depends on the periodicity of the crystal. So when we discuss the periodic potential, then we need a special kind of theorem which we call Bloch theorem. And this Bloch function and the way of finding this wave function is known as Bloch theorem. And the statement of this Bloch theorem is a mathematical relation suggesting the type of wave function of an electron satisfying Schrödinger wave equation in a periodic potential, and characterize electron energy levels. In periodic crystal lattice, the potential energy of an electron satisfies the relation given by U as a function of R equal to U as a function of R plus AB, where small a represent the interatomic spacing inside the crystal, and this Schrödinger wave equation for system can be written as minus h square over 2m del square plus u as a function of r into psi k equal to capital E psi k. With reference to the solution of above equation 2, there is important theorem known as Bloch theorem, which states that eigenfunction of the wave equation for periodic potential is the product of plane wave, which is exponential ikr times a function uk as a function of r with the periodicity of the crystal lattice, that is psi k as a function of r equal to psi k into r plus ab, small ab, where small is the interstopping spacing and small b is the integer, and exponential ikr. The proof of this is understood from the by using this figure 3.1. Let us consider a crystal of length capital L along x direction having capital N atoms with interatomic spacing small a. The eigenstate of an electron with k wave vector near an atom positioned at x is given by Bloch function, which is given by psi kx equal to capital ukx exponential ikx. When the electron moves along x direction by a distance small a, the wave function given by equation 4 changes to. So if it is displaced by distance a, it changes to psi k x plus small a equal to psi k x plus a exponential I k x plus a. For crystal in periodic lattice, psi k x plus a equal to some constant c ukx exponential I k x, and psi k x plus a equal to c psi k x, where c is uka exponential ika. If we consider capital N identical lattice points on a ring of length Na, so we are taking a ring of length Na, that is the circumference, the potential energy is periodic and can be written as ux equal to ux plus Ba, where B is the integer. For ring, after displacement of capital N step, electron will come back to the same point from where it start, which means that this is periodic in character, that is psi k x plus Na equal to psi k x plus capital L, which is equal to psi k x. With net phase shift in equation 7, psi k x plus capital L is equal to c raised to power n psi k x. For equation 9 to be satisfied, we have to put c capital N equal to 1, which is equal to exponential I 2 pi n. So c is equal to exponential I 2 pi n by capital N. By using this equation 7 for total length L, which is equal to Na, which is circumference of a ring, we get k equal to 2 pi n by capital N into small a, which is further equal to, by putting the value of capital N 2 pi by L, where small n is equal to 0, plus minus 1, plus minus 2, plus minus 3, and so on, plus minus n capital N by 2 minus 1, comma n by 2. So hence for small n equal to plus minus n by 2 gives k equal to plus minus pi by a, which shows that a reciprocal lattice vector is given by 2 pi by a, and two values of k wave vector correspond to the same wave function. So this is the proof of this theorem, which proved that wave function gets repeated after spacing of small a, hence proved the Bloch theorem. So when we take this ring of circumference capital Na, so the electron repeats its motion after completing one ring, and this satisfies the condition as given by equation 10. So after this, in order to understand this motion of electron in a periodic potential, confined periodic potential, then this mass also play the important role. So effective mass is another important term which is very important to understand the free electron theory, so the wave motion of electron in a lattice is not the same as that of electron in a vacuum because of the interaction of electrons with the crystal lattice. A quantity that has a dimension of mass but characterizes the dynamic property of such electron is known as a effective mass. So basically, when we are looking the motion of electron in a periodic potential, mass is something which is some way change. That is why we call this effective mass. So effective mass can be written as 1 by m star equal to 1 by h square d square capital E by dk square. We can call this virtual mass, or capital E is the energy and k is the crystal momentum of the conduction electron. So for isotropic medium, the direction of acceleration of an electron in a crystal lattice may not be parallel to the direction of applied electric field, as we assume. When acceleration is in opposite direction of electric field, the corresponding to negative effective mass, for such case effective mass is a tensor. This is very important that it becomes a tensor. That means in different direction it changes in different way, which is related to the change in group velocity due to the change in lattice momentum, and can be written as, so everything change. So basically, by introduction of this effective mass concept, which is tensor in character, it is directly linked with the concept of group velocity, then the concept of lattice momentum. Accordingly, the 1 by m star effective is equal to 1 by h square over d square E by dki over dkj. Effective mass of electron in an energy band is positive near the bottom of the band. Now this is important. This is positive near the bottom of the band, whereas curvature is upward, because at the bottom of the band curvature is upward. So d square E by dk square is greater than 0, is positive, and negative the top of the band, because here curvature is downward. So d square E by dk square is negative, it is less than 0. So effective mass in nutshell, its nature is different. At bottom of the band it is positive, whereas at top of the band it is negative. And it is very well shown in figure 3.2, showing the relation between effective mass and curvature of the band. And for holes, since curvature of the hole band is opposite to the electron band, it is well known facts in semiconductor, their curvature is different for hole and electron, but their effective mass m, effective mass hole, is minus of m electronic mass. Concept of effective mass is also valid for other quasi-particles such as phonon, excitons, etc. The effective mass for an electron can become negative. Because of this, the electron can respond to electric and magnetic field in opposite way in comparison to normal electron having positive mass. There can be affected, it can give different response to electric and magnetic field. That is why this effective mass of electron can become negative because of nature. This behavior of electron can explain the existence of valence band holes and positive mass quasi-particles. As we know that group velocity of electron is given by dw by dk, which comes out to be 1 by h dE by dk, and for free electrons kinetic energy is given by E h square k square by 2m, which is equal to p square by 2m. So where p denotes the crystal momentum. Now this group velocity, which is equal to p by m, as given in 15. So by using this equation 14 in equation 13, in the presence of external field, electric field E, work done by electric force on the electron in a small time dt is given by equal to dE is equal to f dx. Then this dx is velocity into time. So velocity is group velocity, time is dt. So f comes out to be 1 by vg dE by dt. So it comes out to be 1 by group velocity dE by dk, then dk by dt. So if we further simplify, achieve this force equal to dp by dt, where p is hk, the momentum. This equation 16, clearly shows that the time rate of change of crystal momentum is equal to the force applied by the electric field on the electron and resemble with the Newton force law equation. Now acceleration in the electron motion on the application of external electric field can be written as, that is, acceleration is the time rate of group velocity, which comes out to be 1 by h square over d square e over dk square into d hk by dt, that is rate of change of momentum. So where from Newton's second law of motion, acceleration of electron is given by this acceleration is force upon effective mass. On equation 16, 17 and 18, we get the effective mass is equal to 1 by h square over d square e over dk square. From this equation, we can find that this effective mass moving under the effect of external electric field, showing that effective mass is inversely proportional to curvature of the band. For electron moving a constant potential according to free electron theory of metal, E is equal to h square k square by 2m, and effective mass equal to m for all values of k and energy. But for electron moving in a crystal under effect of periodic potential, variation with wave vector does not remain the same in all direction as shown in figure 3.3. So effective mass is not equal to normal mass of electron. There is clear understanding now. If electron is affected by a periodic potential, then mass is not the same. Mass is not same as ordinary mass we consider. It is effective mass. So if it is effective mass, so accordingly group velocity, whether it is linked with group velocity, whether it is linked with its momentum or acceleration, so everything is seen in different way, because effective mass is different than that of ordinary mass. So but if we take a ordinary potential, then we can consider this effective mass and ordinary mass for same for all values of k and energy. So if we rearrange this equation 20, then d square e by dk square is equal to h square by m. So figure 3.3 clearly show the variation of energy, derivative of energy and effective mass with wave number k, how within this first Brillouin zone between boundary, how energy with k, how differentiation of energy with k, and how wave vector with k, this effective mass.
Fermi surface, a constant energy surface which separates the unfilled orbits from the filled ones at absolute zero in k space. Electrical current is due to changes in the occupancy of states near Fermi surface. So it is shown in the figure that how this Fermi surface look like within first Brillouin zone, second Brillouin zone, and so on. And within, when we talk about the first Brillouin zone, it is spherical. When we go beyond the first Brillouin zone, its shape changes. The intersection of Fermi sphere and the zone boundary represents that Bragg reflection can occur for the given crystal at the point. So at intersection there is Bragg reflection. If the Fermi surface is well within the Brillouin zone, the given system act like a free electron. So it act like a free electron if we talk about the first Brillouin zone. So Brillouin zone in two-dimensional lattice where sphere is a Fermi surface in one and first and second zone. On the Fermi surface, electrons have Fermi velocity which is given by hkf over ef, and Fermi surface is spherical for free electron states and non-spherical for non-free electron states. Overlapping of bands always results into change in the shape of the Fermi surface. So directly there is link between band gap and Fermi surface. So Fermi surface of copper atom is shown in the figure, how it visualize this Fermi surface of copper. So it is shown in the figure.
Then comes tight binding approximation method. Now it is one of the simplest approach conceptually used for describing the energy bands. So if we describe the energy bands as in the case of semiconductor, then this tight binding approximation method is used. The idea behind it is that in a solid, When we bring collection of atom together, the description of the state when atoms just begin to overlap should be obtained by correcting the free atom state, or we write a wave function for the system as a linear combination of atomic orbitals centered on the individual atoms. In context of this atomic simulation, it can be helped to distinguish schemes for the calculation of interatomic forces as quantum mechanics and non-quantum mechanical. Let us start with two hydrogen neutral separated atom in 1s ground state and study the changes in atomic energy level as the charge distribution of both atoms overlap when they come nearer to form a crystal. The wave function psi A and psi B of the separated atom are shown in figure 3.5a. As the atom are brought together, their wave function overlap. Let us consider the two combination of wave function, that is, one is combination psi A minus psi B and psi A plus psi B, and their linear combination are also possible. So figure 3.5 clearly mention how these wave function look like. Wave function of electron up to a large distance apart is given in 3.5a small a, and ground state wave function at close separation is given in figure B, and excited state wave function at close separation is given in C. So just see how they overlap in three different situations. As two atoms are brought together, two separated energy levels are formed for each level of isolated atom. For capital N atom, N orbitals are formed for each orbit of isolated atom. But due to Coulombic interaction in between, as free atoms are brought closer, the Coulomb interaction between atom cores and electron split the energy level, so spreading them into bands. So basically, these bands are coming because of the overlapping. Each state of given quantum number of the free atom is spread in the crystal into band of energy. The width of band is proportional to strength of overlap. Traction between neighboring atoms. There will also be bands from P, D states with L with corresponding value of L 1, 2 and so on of the free atoms. States then degenerate in free atom will form different bands. Each state will not have the same energy as any other band over any substantial range of wave vector. Bands may coincide in energy at certain values of k in Brillouin zone. The approximation that start out from the wave function of free atom is known as the tight binding approximation, or the LCAO, linear combination of atomic orbital approximation. This approximation is quite good for inner electrons of atom, but it is not often good description for the conduction electron themselves. So it is good for valence inner electron, not good for conduction electron. It is used to describe approximately the d bands of transition metals and the valence band of diamond-like and inert gas crystal. Suppose that the ground state of an electron moving in the potential UR of an isolated atom, an S state, the treatment of bands arising from the degenerating P, D and so on atomic level is more complicated. If the influence of one atom on another is small, we obtain an approximate wave function in terms of linear combination of atomic orbitals for the whole crystal, which is summed over all lattice points as psi kr equal to 1 by capital N summation over k exponential I k r j into phi r minus rj for a crystal of n atoms. In general, this approximation is quite good for describing inner electron shell of atoms and relatively localized band. Then there is another method for the understanding this band formation, that is cellular method or cellular Wigner-Seitz method. The cellular method was the earliest method employed in band calculation by Wigner-Seitz. Wigner-Seitz is the basically smallest unit in unit cell. the behavior of Wigner-Seitz same as unit cell in direct lattice. This Wigner-Seitz cell is the same unit cell in the reciprocal lattice. That is, in K-spell, it is the building block of K-space. So Wigner and Seitz show that for alkali metals, the electron wave function of free atoms and the nearly free electrons are different. In this method, we divide the crystal lattice into Wigner-Seitz unit cells, contains only one atom at its center. This Wigner and Seitz cell construction is more or less similar to the construction of Brillouin zone in K-space. The main assumption of this method was that electron in Wigner-Seitz cell is under the influence of one ion only and contribution of other ion to it is negligible. The wave function for such type of potential will be psi k equal to exponential EIKR UK, where UK is the periodic in nature. To fulfill the requirement of periodicity on the wave function for actual shape of cell, the Wigner-Seitz replaced the cell by a sphere of the same volume as that of actual cell. The wave function oscillated the ion core, but outside the core it becomes constant, as shown in figure 3.6, the Wigner-Seitz cell and ground state wave function for 3s band in sodium atom. Thus, the wave function behave like a plane wave over most of the cell. Hence, potential experienced by electron must be constant except in the region at the ion core itself. This shows that the conduction electron in metal are considered as free electron. Then there is another theory for, in addition with this tight binding method and this Wigner-Seitz method, there is pseudo potential theory. The main assumption of this formulation of pseudo potential theory is replace the many electron problem with a self-consistent field problem in which effect of the interaction between electrons are a self-consistently determined potential field which include self-consistent field for the exchange. Then second assumption is divide the electronic state into core and the conduction band state and will assume that the core state are the same as in the free atom. The core wave function are assumed to be the same as in free atom. Potential arises from the neighboring atoms will overlap the core, but the core are small in size, so these contribution will be nearly constant over the core. Thus, they shift the energy but not in the wave function. The energy eigenvalue equation satisfy time independent Schrodinger wave equation. This h square by 2m del square psi plus v psi equal to e psi. On expanding the valence state wave function in terms of orthogonal plane waves, each orthogonal plane wave in terms of projection operator p can be written as this psi k equal to 1 minus p into summation over alpha k into k. Let us assume that here phi is summation k a k over I k. This equation 25 will smooth function and known as pseudo potential. On using above two equation, that is 24th and 25th in 23rd, then the second and third and fourth terms in the left hand side of equation 26 equation combined known as pseudo potential. So if we combine these second, third and fourth, so this combined potential is pseudo potential, which is W. So hence this 26 can be written as minus h square by 2m del square phi plus W phi equal to E phi, where W is the pseudo potential and this equation is known as pseudo potential equation. So pseudo potential is not local in contrast to VR, a local potential that depends only on position. The pseudo potential is attractive in nature and second term it will be always positive. So it is attractive and it will be pulsive also. So the variation of this pseudo potential is graphical representation is shown in figure 3.7, where left hand side is actual potential and corresponding wave function. Actual potential, as we discussed in earlier also, how potential vary. If we see in figure B, the corresponding pseudo potential and pseudo function, it is quite different in comparison with ordinary wave function or ordinary potential. This pseudo potential approach also has non-uniqueness. That is, solution of the pseudo-potential equation is the addition of any linear combination of core state leads to the wave function given by this psi k equal to 1 minus p summation k a k I k, which leads to the same true wave function, that is psi is equal to 1 minus p into phi, where phi is the pseudo function as shown in figure 3.7b.
Now we will discuss the origination of band gap between valence band and conduction band. So there are various methods like tight binding method, pseudo potential method, then Wigner-Seed cell methods. So first we are going to discuss this tight binding method. It is based upon superposition of atomic orbitals, where wave function, which is a function of r, is equal to 1 by capital N square root summation over k exponential iota k dot rj into phi r minus rj, where bandwidth is determined. This bandwidth between valence band and conduction band is determined by the small overlap integrals. So it is based upon the overlapping of the integral. Under cellular method, this atomic orbital inside the core and the plane wave is lying outside. This wave function is given by exponential EIKR UK, and under this method atomic boundary condition is replaced by the cellular boundary condition. And in pseudo potential method, plane wave function coupled by pseudo potential is given by psi k equal to 1 minus p into summation over k a k I k, smooth valence function that is orthogonal to the core state is the sole criteria of this pseudo potential method. So students, let us summarize what we have learnt in this module. A mathematical way of expressing the form of wave function, that is Bloch function, that characterizes free electron energy level in a periodic crystal lattice and is known as Bloch theorem. The effective mass of an electron is negative near the top of the band and it is positive near the bottom of the band. And we also know the difference between effective mass and ordinary mass of the electron, how effective mass is important when we talk about effect of free electron under the influence of periodic potential. A constant energy space which enables us to visualize the occupation of the allowed empty energy level in K space or reciprocal space is known as Fermi surface. Method of explaining electronic bands formation in solids by using the method of linear combination of atomic orbitals is named as tight binding approximation. So and second method which we used for the understanding of band gap is the method of calculating wave function, which is used to understand the behavior of free electron in the field of iron core, is known as cellular method or Wigner-Seed cellular method.